Pleased to be joined by Ben Mintz, formerly of Wake Up Mintzy, formerly of Barstool Sports, who made a stupid, honest mistake, and he's been open and honest about that. I think we're all surprised, based on working for Barstool, that he was fired based on an honest mistake. But he joins us now. Mintzy, great to have you on the show, man. Thank you for the time. Hope you had a good Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, yeah. Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it. And, yeah, I'm kicking it in uptown New Orleans, and I see y'all in Nashville, so good to see some Southern representation here.
Yep, you had to think you would be suspended at worst, right? Based on, and for those that don't know, you said a racial slur while rapping song lyrics to Bone Thugs and Harmony on Wake Up Mintzy. And when it happened, Chad and I talked about it on the show. You can tell. You knew, like, whoa, what did I just say? What did I just read? Just based on the honest reaction, the honest mistake, I thought, well, surely it's a suspension at worst coming from Penn Entertainment.
Yeah, I obviously disagree with their decision, but I'm not in a place, when you're talking about Penn, you're dealing with a billion-dollar company and all kinds of gaming regulations and all this stuff. I mean, you saw the fallout. Dave and Big Cat and Erica Nardini all went really hard for me and had my back, which I super appreciate. I still have great relationships with everybody at Barstool. And look, I feel like I'm kind of lucky in that publicly I've gotten the benefit of the doubt here, because anybody that knows me and follows me, I feel like I'm one of the least malicious people you're going to know. And I obviously made a very stupid mistake. You could see me, I was rapping the song, reading off my phone, and I just slipped. And, my face turned white immediately, and I apologized, and I got on Twitter and apologized. And I mean, I kind of near had a panic attack on Monday, but I kind of calmed down Monday afternoon. And as the fallout went by the next day or two, I thought I sent a really formal apology letter to Erica Nardini, our CEO. And she sent back, like, obviously you made a really stupid mistake. Don't ever do it again. And when she said that, I was like, okay, well, I'm probably not getting fired if she said don't ever do it again. And then Wednesday, I got a call from Dave saying, look, we went really hard for you. We don't know what Penn's going to do. And when he said that Wednesday morning, I immediately was like, okay, well, I'm just going to mentally prepare for getting let go, because if Dave's saying that, it's probably not good. And Erica Nardini FaceTimed me literally almost in tears Wednesday afternoon when she told me I was getting let go. And I obviously wasn't thrilled about it. I disagreed with the Penn decision, but life, I'm a big positive energy, positive attitude guy. I'm a life hands you, lemons, make lemonade. And I've kind of had a really awesome last 3 or 4 weeks with Jazz Fest New Orleans. And then I took off on a 20-day road trip through North Carolina and South Carolina and the SEC tournament. And I had a lot of fun seeing a lot of friends and family, and I actually turned 40 tomorrow. So, I'm trying to make the best of all of it, for sure.
Well, you definitely handled it in a positive way, and you should be commended for that. It's an interesting case study, because so much of Barstool's success, and you know this, Mintzy, is based on community and based on social media and based on the Stoolies, which was built and ballooned through social media. And I look at your story there, and I think it also probably cost you your job, because if people aren't angry tweeting and posting Penn National, you probably still have a job. They probably responded to people that don't like Barstool, that reached out to them, and we've seen it before with bosses. When they see that, they oftentimes respond to the negative. How much do you blame social media response to what eventually happened?
To be honest, what was so interesting about it, because when it happened, I was freaked out that I was going to be too hot to touch for a while because of the nature of society. But I don't think the mob ever came for them. I think they just said, we're not allowing racial slurs to be said, period. It's a no tolerance policy. But there was never a big social media outcry against me, really, at all. And I think a lot of it has to do with, when you work for Barstool, so much of your life is on social media. And the way I've tried to carry myself the last 2.5 years, I mean, I'm a Christian. I don't say F-bombs or GD on air. Like, I'm way toned down compared to a lot of Barstool people. And the week before, I ran a 10K on the Yak that raised like $50,000 for families fighting child cancer. And everybody saw that. And so I think all that stuff kind of reflected well on my character. And people saw, like, that's more what I'm about. I'm not a hateful person. And I think because of that, I got a little bit of the benefit of the doubt publicly.
Online sports betting illegal in 21 states now. That was the story, is that they're pointing to regulation and government regulation and licenses for where they want to be or where they are that they may lose. Is that accurate, and as to why they made this move?
I mean, that's what they said. Like, I'll be honest, I am on the Barstool side of it. I never spoke to anyone at Penn at all. I was dealing with Dave and Erica and the Barstool side of it. That's what they told Dave. That's what Dave says. I trust Dave Portnoy. You know, he's a guy. The thing about Dave, he never lies. I mean, he's all about brutal truth and honesty to a fault. So if that's what he says, I'm sure that's what happened. Obviously, you know, I thought it was unfortunate, but I mean, I think, you know, the thing about life, you know, I got to deal with it. I got to move on. And I think I've got, you know, a pretty good situation coming up the next few months. So I think it's going to be all right.
Yeah, you got World Series of Poker, right?
Yeah. So it's really fun for me. And I'm lucky to have this. So I was a poker pro from 2006 to 2014. And that was all I did. I was top 200 in the world in online poker at one point, and I've done really well in the World Series main event. And so with summer coming up, I get to go play the World Series of Poker. I have backers who put up my buy-ins, and then I took a 6-week job with Poker Go. So it's kind of like, it's funny. I feel like I'm in high school or college, and I'm like going to summer camp with the summer job. But for Poker Go, I'm going to be doing play-by-play of some World Series final tables, reporting, podcast content. But they're super cool. Like, go play the WSOP and just work for us when you're not playing. And so I think it's an awesome situation. I fly out Friday, June 2nd. I'll be in Vegas through the end of the main event, probably till July 15th or 20th. They're also cool with maybe me taking off. I might end up in Omaha at some point, you know, running around. I don't have to do the whole 6 weeks, but I do have to be there for the main. So I think it's, you know, while I'm figuring out the next big decision, it's a perfect bridge job and situation. And, you know, I love getting to fire poker again. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mintzy with us here on HotMic with Hutton and Withrow across the OutKick network. So the one thing I've noticed, you're not running the circuit trying to make excuses or trying to make people feel sorry for you. I don't know how you don't feel bitter. Maybe you do, but you don't portray it. Because on one hand, as Chad mentioned, Barstool is known for the anti-cancel culture. We're going to say what we want, and we can apologize for it, but, you know, suspension at worst. I'll go back to that. And then on top of it, I think also, how long have you been at Barstool? Not even 3 years, right?
Yeah, it was two. I got hired in October of 2020, so
okay.
two and a half.
So I wonder, did that play into it? Did the fact that you're a white guy from the South and an Ole Miss fan play into it? Like, I'm just trying to figure out why they didn't listen to Portnoy.
Yeah, look, the thing about it is, it's like unfortunate. I literally wish I could tell you what played into it, but I haven't communicated with Penn Gaming at all. So whatever, you know, I don't know what happened behind closed doors. Obviously, they had a zero tolerance policy. You know, Penn took over 100% of Barstool in February. Clearly, they're more corporate, and they had a zero tolerance policy for what I said, even if it's, you know, off my phone and no maliciousness. They just said, you can't do this, period. And I don't know what they said, all the stuff you're asking about. Like, all I know is Barstool had my back and Penn did not. And that's all I got for you.
Maybe you're a healthier person than I am. I'd want to know specifically who made the decision at Penn, even if I hadn't met them before. Do you know specifically who made the decision? Do you want to know who made that call?
I don't know who made the ultimate call, but the buck does stop with Jay Snowden, the CEO. But I don't have a relationship with him, and I've never met him. But you got to think he's the CEO, and that's who the buck stops with. I don't know if it was a board meeting or what, but that's all. Like I said, I hate being vague, but I just really don't know.
What do you think's next for Portnoy after the contract's up? He specifically mentioned 20 months. He didn't mention January 2025. He mentioned everything's up in 20 months. I thought that was very specific.
Look, when it comes to Dave Portnoy, I know he's probably up to something, but I don't even want to begin to guess because I literally have no idea. But I do know that I still have a great relationship with him and with Big Cat and with Erica. And I think, you know, it's nice that even though it sucks that I left Barstool, at least I left on good terms with the whole company, and you never know what the future holds.
Well, what's next for you after this 6-week summer job stint with poker, as you described it, is up? Well, what do you want to do next?
Well, I think I'm sitting back, and I'm lucky. There's definitely some interest in me right now, which is a first world problem. Because as I said, because the hot button nature of this, I was worried I was going to have to just go play poker for a year or two until this calmed down. But it's kind of broke the other way. I'm trying to be extremely calculated about the next decision. But the thought is, I don't know when I'm going to announce the next move, but I'm looking to start something in early to mid-August, right before football season, is the thought. I'm going to enjoy the poker thing through July 15th or 20th, and then, be looking to take something for fall. I might announce something sooner than that, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I'm not closing any doors. I love living in uptown New Orleans. I did the New York thing for a couple of years, and it wasn't necessarily my favorite, but I mean, in the situation I'm in, anybody that is interested in me, I'm listening to everybody.
You feel like you and I are the same age. You feel like you're a bit of a crossroads?
Yeah, it's interesting though. Turning 40 tomorrow, like it's, birthdays or whatever as you get older, but the 40th one kind of makes you sit back and evaluate life. And even with this happening, I'm really happy where I'm at. I've made a lot of great changes in my life. I've gotten healthier. I quit drinking 3 years ago, and I feel like I've got a lot of great relationships and opportunities, and I love living in NOLA. And it could always be worse. I think one thing I do that people laugh, but I feel like I try to do mental gymnastics, and I try to make every negative into a positive, because I believe like positive energy, runs the world. And if you put out good vibes and energy to the universe, it'll come back to you. So I try to live by that.
Let's talk a little football. Nick Saban not happy with the direction of things right now at SEC Media Days in Destin. He said as much. He asked the question, do any of you really like the direction of where we're headed in college athletics right now? Ben, what do you think about where things are headed right now in college football, and what specifically Saban is talking about in regards to the SEC?
Well, I think the thing is, I don't mind. I know the SEC getting bigger with Oklahoma and Texas, but with the playoffs going to 12 teams, 9-3 record out of the SEC is going to get you into the playoffs now. And so, even with it getting tougher and deeper, that you're not going to have to win every single game like you used to at the playoffs. So I like that part of the 12-team playoff. As far as all the NIL Wild Wild West stuff, they do need to figure out a way to regulate it a little better, because a lot of these these kids are getting contracts etched in sand. Are they actually getting paid all the stuff that they're being promised? I feel like they need to figure out a way to regulate it. I don't know if you do a salary cap or what, but it's too. I just said regulated 3 times, but it's too unregulated right now, and there needs to be some kind of structure. But having said all that, I'm happy the players are getting paid. I mean, when you're looking at these billion-dollar TV deals and stuff, a lot of these players coming from poor economic backgrounds, that's their window in life to make money, is their college years, and they're giving their bodies. So, I'm all about the players getting paid and compensated. So I'm not against that at all.
Ben Mintz, Mintzy, formerly of Barstool, with us at Destroyer Mintzy on social. The thing that went viral over the weekend late last week was Auburn playing up the fact that they have a Buckys now. I guess they're the only SEC program with a Buckys in their town, which is hilarious. And by the way, I'd love to have a Buckys in every town. Let's put it that way. If you don't know what it is, for those listening or watching, it's a truck stop on crack is how to describe it. Think of a Walmart and then think of a truck stop.
It's a full experience when you go in there. I was just
Insanity.
there this past weekend.
It's a theme park. You have to stop if you see one. Auburn's playing it up, Mintzy, and of course that led to the others like South Carolina and what the other programs, what would come to mind for them. South Carolina's propping up, the Waffle House, tongue in cheek. Waffle House and Bojangles, the only school in the country with the closest Bojangles and Waffle House to their stadium. Hilarious. I want one for every single program.
Well, his Mintzy's Ole Miss Rebels, with a great one also, chicken on a stick at a Chevron.
Yeah.
To me, this was my favorite response, was Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss to the Buckys post. This is great, right, Mintzy?
No, it's so funny because the chicken on a stick is such a cultural thing in Oxford. It's that Chevron's kind of right off the square. And, when I was younger, leaving the bar, I definitely did the late night chicken on a stick a lot. So it's a big cultural thing. And so I thought it was pretty funny that Lane.
The mic drop was for LSU, where they're the program that will steal money from a children's hospital, the only school in the SEC to do that. Now, of course, that was a booster that embezzled $800,000 that was supposed to go to a children's hospital foundation. And again, the mic drop moments. And did we see one for Knoxville, Chad?
No, but there's actually, I noticed this weekend going to Smoky Mountains, there's a Bucky's being built off the Sevierville exit, 20 miles from downtown Knoxville, off exit 407 on 40. So I guess now they can tout that. everyone's making fun of Auburn, though, right, Mintzy? When I saw this, my first response was they're clearly poking fun at Auburn for this, but in a way also has something to brag about for themselves.
Yeah, it's funny. I love all this kind of stuff, though. The humor in the SEC. It always cracks me up. I'm real curious on the Auburn front, on the football front, though, how Freeze is going to do. I like them getting Peyton Thorne from Michigan State. I think he's good at pushing the ball down the field. I think year one Freeze at Auburn, I mean, they're going to be a little more dangerous than people think. No, it's probably going to be tough when Ole Miss plays them. From now on with the Freeze thing, that's for sure.
So your level of fright as an Ole Miss guy with Lane Kiffin now versus Hugh Freeze, obviously knowing intimately what both can do as a coach, from an Ole Miss perspective, how afraid are you as an Ole Miss fan that Hugh Freeze is going to get there and start winning right away?
Look, the thing about Hugh Freeze, love him or hate him, he wins everywhere he goes. I mean, whether it's women's high school basketball, Briarcrest football, Arkansas State, Liberty, Ole Miss, I mean, he's won everywhere. And so I think he's going to do really well at Auburn. The thing about Freeze teams is they're great at pulling off upsets, but he'll lose a couple that he's supposed to win too.
Mm-hmm.
He does a great job getting his team up for big games, and that's part of why he's at Auburn, because he beat Alabama twice at Ole Miss. But I think he's going to get it going pretty quick. I think Auburn's got a great fan base and home field advantage, and so it's not going to be easy. As far as the Ole Miss front, schedule's murder this year. I think Ole Miss is going to be a better football team than they were last year, but last year they started 7-0, playing a cream puff war. This year, road games at Georgia, at Alabama, at Auburn, at Mississippi State, and then week 2 in uptown New Orleans at Tulane's real tricky.
Yes.
I feel like Ole Miss is heading for a 7. I think 8 wins would be a great season with the schedule, but I actually think they're going to be a better team than they were last year, but the record's not going to show it probably.
How did Kiffin land all 3 of those quarterbacks?
That's a good question. My thing, I don't think the situation looks good for Jackson Dart. I don't think you're bringing in a 4-year starter in Sanders and Walker Howard if you thought Dart could be the guy. So it doesn't look good on the surface. I mean, who knows? I'm not in the quarterback room, obviously. The big thing for Ole Miss is how Pete Golding, who came over from Bama, he's done a great job recruiting in the transfer portal. But Ole Miss got put in a bad spot last year. Lane hired Chris Kiffin, his brother, came back from Cleveland Browns. He was the D-line coach. Well, he came back to Ole Miss to be the defensive coordinator, and then 6 weeks later, he's like, I'm over this college football NIL, and left. And so Ole Miss had to promote Chris Partridge, who was like an NIL guy and kind of a position coach, to be the defensive coordinator. And, unfortunately, defense didn't do as well. And so hopefully Pete Golding can help the defense a lot. That's something that Ole Miss really needs to improve this year to compete.
Mintzy with us. You mentioned the World Series of Poker and all that. Any good Doyle Brunson stories from behind the scenes? The legendary poker player, 10-time winner who passed away earlier this month?
Well, so like so many people that started playing poker, he had a book called Super Systems that I read at the very beginning. And I think so many people did when they were learning poker, where he really explained why being aggressive and putting opponents to decisions for all their chips and being unpredictable is such a profitable strategy. But I don't have any. I mean, I've walked by him a few times, but unfortunately I never met him. So I don't have any too crazy stories, but they honored him today. The World Series of Poker started today with a $25,000 six max, and they had a moment of silence for Doyle. And, that's like losing Babe Ruth in baseball. I mean, you can't lose someone like that, but he lived such a full life and just such an all-time legend and character that, he will be greatly missed forever.
Mintzy, thank you for the time, man. We appreciate the perspective and the honesty. And look, you mentioned you've got options, and the public has your back too. It seems the outpouring of support is the opposite of of what you expected would happen. And despite that, they still fired you, which is still mind-blowing to us on this end. So keep your head up like you're doing, man, because you're doing a great job at doing that.
Yeah, it's going to be a great summer. Anybody that wants to support Poker Go, sign up with code Mintzy, get $20 off. I'm going to be doing commentary for Final Tables. It's going to be awesome. If you want to follow the World Series of Poker, sign up and follow Poker Go.
Hit that again.
So yeah, I'll say it again. Sign up, Poker Go. We're going to have live streams of all the World Series of Poker Final Tables, main event coverage. I'm going to be out in the wild doing reporting, doing commentary, podcasts, whatever. But if anybody that wants to follow the World Series of Poker, sign up for Poker Go, code Mintzy. It's $20 off if you use that code. I get a little bit of referral back, and I think it's like $60 or $70 for yearly subscription, so it's not too bad.
Hey, man, appreciate the time. Enjoy it, and we'll catch up soon.
Good luck with everything.
Yeah, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, man. Ben Mintz, Ole Miss, the Rebel.